Hi everyone, welcome back to Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics. We got another beached whale on the neighbor's property this time. Got dropped off, 2010 Dodge Journey, 130,000 miles. Customer complaint is, well, it doesn't start, doesn't crank. It's kind of an intermittent problem, then just broke down. He said he put in a new starter, a new battery, and then he's like, I give up. Towed it over here. Customer complaint. Nothing when you turn to the crank position. Scanned it for codes initially. Nothing of interest. Let's log into Dodge and, well, where would you begin? Wiring diagram for the starting circuit. Alrighty, starting circuit. What do we have? We have the starter relay. There's the battery. There's the starter itself. And we have starter relay output. There's the start relay itself. And the load side looks like comes from J17 40 amp fuse. And this is in the totally integrated power module, TIPM. Okay, hey, it's 2010 salt belt. Maybe this is the issue. The PCM controls the relay. So right here, starter relay output goes. So both the TIPM and the PCM are in control of this starter relay. So let's check. Basically, we can pop this relay out. Check that, this one is serviceable. Some of them are not serviceable. Check for power there. We check for continuity. Use a jumper to, maybe it'll start and run. Who knows? Let's do a visual inspection. All right, here's the TIPM fuse box. Oh, nice. We got some, let's see, J17 starter solenoid 40 amp. And that would be, oh, it's a little tough to read here. J13, J15, J19, J17, right here, 40 amp. That looks like it's still in one piece. And then what about these relays? Where's the starter relay? We went for K, starter solenoid relay K3. K3 is this one. All right, let's get a test light. We've got our pins labeled. Do some basic checks. All right, test light. This is the ground lug. So if I touch a main positive, test light will light up. And according to the relay pins, this one, okay, here we go. That's pin 30. It's hot all the time. And if you jump it to 87, I assume the starter should turn over. And then those are the control pins. Okay, so now we go from battery positive. Test light works. Do we have continuity through the starter? No, we don't. See, that's ground. What? That's a problem. So back to the wiring diagram. Here, I'll leave this here. You guys can hear if this relay clicks or not. Or we can even do a better test. We can just put a little test light in between the control pins. See if that lights up when we're cranking. That's going to be these two right here. Alright, little baby test light in between the control pins. Let's see what happens when we turn the key to start. Yes, we have control, key off. It's basically automatic. It'll spin that starter until the vehicle starts, which is it's not doing. So our problem confirmed is from the load side pin going to the starter solenoid. That's pretty crazy. If I find it, we can just do a bypass, you know, from this pin to the starter solenoid. Kind of stuff the relay in here and crank it over. It should fire up, but you know, in 5 minutes we narrowed it down to one wire. That's the power of wiring diagrams and knowing basic electrical theory. So which wire is it? This yellow and gray connector B, pin 8. Oh look, there's an intermediate connector, C117. Then right here. So maybe C117 is a good place to start. We could try that. Or right at the TIPM. Alrighty, so the TIPM comes up pretty easy. And looking at the connector view, pin 8, connector C2 or connector B, is relay, starter relay output, yellow and gray wire. I found it. There it is, yellow and gray wire. It's pretty fat, so that makes sense. I stuffed the lead in there, test light connected to ground, so if that energizes, the test light will come on. So I want to see if the fuse box is good, if the relay is good, if we're chasing a problem further downstream of this thing. Stuff that in here, make sure it makes good contact. Okay, let's hit the, turn the key to crank and see if that test light lights up. This is like the fork in the road. And here we go, and start. Hey, we got a light. So, those people who might say, hey, it's a Chrysler, it's 13 years old, it's in the salt belt, just get a TIPM. That'd be a waste of time and money. Problems further downstream. TIPM's fine, relay's fine. Let's find this connector C117. So I could not, for some reason Chrysler does not give the location of C117, but you can see here pin A turns from yellow and gray to yellow and violet. And it's somewhere between the TIPM and the starter, which is right down there. Here's a bulk connector, and I see a fat wire coming in here on the corner pin. And here it is a yellow and violet. And here it's a yellow and gray. This is C117 for sure, just by wiring colors. So OEM, you know, the wiring diagram is helpful, but not, you know, locations or pinouts. So I want to unplug this, check for green crusties in there, then put my test light on the wire on this pin. So move it from here to here and see if our voltage is making it at least to this connector. Alright, I got C117 undone. Now my test light is stuck in this pin, yellow and gray. Let's crank it over, see if the test light lights up. Put it over here so we can see it. Place your bets now. Is the wire going to be good to there? Key on and crank. Yep, we got a light. Let's keep going. Alright, so next check. Yellow and violet wire. I suspect there's a break somewhere between here and the starter. So I found the yellow and violet wire right by the starter. Poked a little hole in it. Here's a jumper. Now I want to check continuity through the starter solenoid. So all we have to do, attach that battery positive. Hey, our test light lights up bright. If we do the same thing to the yellow and violet wire that I back probed at this connector, we got nothing. There's a broken wire somewhere. That's pretty crazy. However, let's reconnect this. I want to get this car running so I can pull it in my shop and, you know, inspect the wiring harness. So all we have to do is jump, basically bypass the yellow violet wire from connector C117 to the starter solenoid. Place your bets now. Is this going to work? as long as my back probe here is making good contact, it will. Now, what we can do is just to double check, put this on here, also jump my test light from this side. Test light should light up and the starter should spin when I crank this thing over. Alright, let's see. We'll crank over. Key on. Beautiful. So we're dealing with a broken wire. Let's let this car charge up a little bit. And I'll just drive to my shop. We can find the actual problem in a nice warm garage. Alright, we got the Dodge Journey in the garage. Let's go hunting for the broken wire. So it's this yellow and purple that I jumped from here, from connector C117, comes down here through the harness, right up here, under the intake pipe here, and then to the front of the engine, and then down towards the starter. You can see that's where I'm spliced in with my back probe. Yellow and purple wire. So we're looking for sharp brackets, bending harnesses. It looks like it goes in there, goes up. Right through here, gets pinched and rubbed by this power steering hose. That's a nice feature. So I'm going to look around. If I can't find it right away, we'll have to open up the harness somewhere in the middle, measure the voltage there, see if it's good to here or if it's broken to here. You know, is the problem in this half or going down to the starter? Kind of bisect the harness and look for some clues. If it's only one broken wire, it doesn't set any other codes, and it's a fat wire, and it's not a constant battery. It's only energized when you hit the starter. So I don't know. We'll hopefully we'll find something interesting. Alright, so here's my method of finding open circuits, open wires. So we're going to use test lights. That's all we need. I have a test light here connected to battery positive, and the other lead is feeding voltage into the yellow and purple wire on this side of connector C119. Now this test light, smaller amperage, is connected to ground. So if it finds a positive, it's going to light up. As you can see, we're feeding positive voltage into this wire. So let's pick a convenient point. I just peeled back a little tape right here and found the yellow and purple wire. And we want to be as least intrusive as possible. So just put a little pressure on a test light until it makes contact with the copper. And bingo, we have voltage here. And I can prove that it's coming from this test light. I can just unplug it, and now we won't have any voltage right here. Alright? And by the way, I have the starter wire unplugged. You can actually see the connector right there. But I do have it back probed, and this is my jumper right here. So we just proved that this section of wire from here all the way up to here is perfectly fine. Now we're down to about 2 feet of harness from here down to the starter. So what's the next step? We can feed voltage to the wire down there through my test light. So instead of feeding it up here, I'm going to feed it down there. And now I expect this light will not light up because we have an open circuit between here and the starter. We're getting really close, but I still don't see anything obvious. Once we get pretty close, we can do a tug test and see if that wire will just pull right through the harness. Uh-oh, I was actually mistaken. I'm feeding voltage now. I didn't have my test light plugged in. To the red wire down there. And guess what? We have voltage up here. Uh-oh. We can do a little wiggle check. It's going to be a little tough to get down here. Because what I noticed was, see the little red locking tab is broken on the connector down there? And it wasn't, I could just pull it right off. It wasn't clipped in. Are we dealing with an intermittent problem? Or not? They said it wouldn't crank, and then they put the starter on, it wouldn't crank, and then I bypassed that wire. We did not have voltage down there when we first started. That's why I had to do the bypass test. That's for sure. So the problem can't be at the starter. It has to be either in the wiring harness or at this connector. So the only way to do this now is to hook up a test light kind of permanently here and do wiggle checks and see if it flickers or something. I don't know what to say, guys. I'm striking out here. I did all the wiggle checks, all the tug checks. This light did not flicker one bit. I'm even measuring or putting voltage in from this side of the connector just to make sure it's not a connector problem. But we proved yesterday it wasn't a connector problem. We were getting voltage here, but not at my back probe. Oh man. You would think an open wire would be open. You know, if you tug it, it would just stay open. I really can't explain this one. Alright, so a little different strategy. So I connected a 1 amp test light right to the purple and yellow purple wire. Everything's connected. I even connected the starter solenoid. Now the current is going through the starter solenoid. It's not enough current to energize it, but it's a good continuity check. We want to load the circuit with some amperage. Now, again, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. If that light goes out, it's going to be an open circuit. Wiggle down here. Oh! Uh-oh. There it is. Yes! I was not going to give the car back to the customer like this. So, somewhere down here, in this stretch of harness, is our issue. Right there. Okay, beautiful. So now we can put the test lights right down here, come from underneath, do a careful wiggle check, and find that nearly broken wire. Alright, this is beautiful. You can see the test light. This stretch of harness coming down right here. If I move it this way, boom. You can see, you can make a dim light, open wire. Should we just unclip it and just do a tug test and see where it rips? I think that's the best way to do it without taking off this protective sheath and tape and stuff. We'll have to do that anyways. But I'm saying just pull it. It has to be really close. I mean, it comes into this harness right here. Now once I break it, let's see if this is jiggling. Could it be up here? There's a thick ground wire in that harness too. So I'll break it completely. Let me unplug it from the starter. Why was it? I just wiggled it right here. Is it a bad contact at the starter? Alright, so let's repeat that experiment. But I want to ground this out so that wire is grounded. Then if we can't reproduce it, then it'll definitely be a pin fitment issue at the starter. Right? That's my plan of attack. Okay, now the red wire I have grounded right here. Let's do the same exact wiggle check and see if the test light bulb flickers. If there's a broken wire coming to here, we should flicker. Guys, we're not flickering. There's nothing wrong in the wire. It's just a poor contact at the starter solenoid. What the heck? Get out of here. Here, I'm going to unplug it completely. You can pull it all you want. That wire's fine, but how did our check... Because with the back probe we had no voltage. We proved that. It's just a poor pin fitment issue. I mean, yeah, that pin's probably spread out. Ugh. Dang. Well, it's still a problem. We could, instead of just eliminate this stupid thing, put a little eyelet on here and screw it directly to the starter solenoid. That would probably be more reliable than dealing with this crap. Or maybe try to close up that pin a little bit. And I'll try to clip it back in. That's the problem, though. Alright, here's Ivan's solution for reliability. Cut off this stupid thing. We're not going to mess with the pin or the broken red lock or this thing on the starter. Garbage. I'm going to simplify the whole thing just by, and check this out, crimping and soldering a little lug to the starter control wire. Very simple, very reliable. I'm going to stretch it over here. I'm going to screw it in. This should make both the soldering fans and the crimping fans happy. That connection's not going anywhere anytime soon. It should be a lot more reliable than the OEM. Was this the problem originally? Maybe, maybe not. But you can see when it touches something ground, it'll light up my test light. Nothing wrong with the wiring, just this bad connection. Alright, place your bets now. Is it going to start? Like nobody's business. What do we say here? Well, we definitely found a problem. Vehicle's fixed. Originally, did it need a new starter? Perhaps. But during the replacement, that connector got messed up, the pins got spread out, and then you're still at a no crank situation. So that's that's a little funny. I'll have to review the video footage because with the back probe on there, I don't think we saw any voltage, and that led me to suspect an open wire. And when we did the bypass test, it fired right up. I mean, when I back probed it, that connector was definitely tweaked, so it made contact, but it's still kind of suspicious. Oh well, sometimes the mystery remains, but I'm confident giving this vehicle back to the customer. No issues. So thanks all for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.